Thank you very much for inviting me to this very important gathering of citizens of this country. You have all come out today in celebration of June 12th, right? I see that your faces are not looking like people who are celebrating. Your morning. I listened to some of the things that, I heard the hunger part of it. I listened to what some of those who spoke during the town hall session were saying, and I believe that whatever you're expressing is reflective of what a larger number of Nigerians are feeling. And I actually think that it is an important feedback on democracy for you to be able to express that whereas you should be celebrating, be in celebratory mood, like the rulers of the country, who obviously are going to have a democracy party. You should be the ones in that party mood. But in your own case, what you're saying is, what has democracy done for us yet? Well, I'm here to let you know that the most important thing around the conversation of democracy is appreciating democracy as a principle. So democracy as a principle is essentially the reason why someone who is well quoted on this, a former Prime Minister of Britain, Winston Churchill, said that democracy is the worst form of government until you've tried the others. Do you understand that? So he's saying whatever you feel about democracy is correct because it is the worst form of government. But hold on until you see the alternatives. Do you get it now? So yes, it is okay to say that it's June 12th and you don't feel the essence of democracy. It's also an expression of democracy, and you can say that, right? But it is not okay to then think that democracy is useless. Because what we know of democracy is that it is not useless. There's a distance between the principle of democracy and the practice of democracy. So what has happened is that the practice of democracy has diverged from all the principles that are important. And the reason that this has happened is also why I am excited that you have gathered together today as citizens to actually probe governance and to determine how governance can improve so that both the principle and practice of democracy will begin to converge. I am very proud of your coming out. Please clap for yourselves. Because the truth is, the gap between the principle of democracy and the practice of democracy is explained for by the missing citizenship for democracy. For many years in our country, the citizens were missing in democracy. You were missing in democracy. We were missing in democracy as citizens. But by your being here today at this event that is organized by citizens like yourselves, it is evidence of progress, isn't it? You know, in Igbo land, we normally say that the hunger that has a hope of being satiated eventually does not kill. So the fact that you've begun this journey of saying the gap that existed between the principle of democracy and the practice of democracy in our country, I no longer want it to exist, and you're decided to take responsibility for ensuring that that gap is closed. That means that we are on a journey that ultimately will lead us to you coming for a June 12th event in, say, another 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever number of years it takes, you stay in the course as citizens and saying, I will no longer be missing from democracy, is actually the solution to the place where you now begin to be happy on Democracy Day. Do you get it? It's very important, because that's the basis of my topic that he asked me to speak to you about, which is that there is something called, I constructed the concept that there is monopoly democracy, that democracy can become a monopoly, and a monopoly is actually injurious to society. We normally use the word monopoly when it concerns economy. So within the economic theory of markets, we have an aberration, that is something that is not right. So markets are looked at from the degree of competition. And the theory is that when there is healthy competition in the market for a product or a service, that what you will get is a situation where those who consume that product or service will get the best value. They will get the best value because the price of the product will be good and the quality of the product will be good, and therefore their welfare will be maximized. Do you understand it? I hope I'm not speaking the kind of grammar that you're not. Are you understanding the grammar? You're following? You're following. Okay. So this concept of competition is the bedrock of democracy. A democracy that does not stand on genuine competition is going to distort itself. So it can go, instead of being a competitive democracy, it can become an oligopoly, meaning that a few people that can turn into a cabal, can get together and decide what kind of service or product that democracy will give to those who consume the democracy. Who are the people who consume the democracy? The citizens. The citizens are the consumers, the same way that you consume a product, whether it is water or coke or whatever, or the way you consume health service or education service. So you're the consumer. Now, if democracy moves away from being genuinely competitive, it will no longer produce the kind of quality that the theory of market says that a competitive democracy should be able to give you. So when it becomes an oligopoly, there's a trouble that is surfacing seriously. But that trouble worsens when it then becomes a duopoly, where just two people or two groups of people can determine the quality of democracy that you're getting. Then it gets worse, because it can go from duopoly to monopoly, where the one idea or one kind of behavior or one set of people are determining what you as consumers can get out of democracy. When that happens, you now have a complete collapse of competition in democracy. And when you have monopoly, even from the economic context of it, you know what happens? There is absolutely no power of the consumers to determine quality, to determine price. They are locked into whatever it is that the suppliers are giving to them. So those who supply democracy are the politicians. They ultimately then become the people in government when they, according to whatever they do, win. win. And so when they supply you democracy as monopolist, they cannot supply you quality. They cannot supply you value. They cannot give you cost effectiveness. So that is why it turns out that on June 12th, it's 20, how many years? This is that 26 years of unbroken democracy. You are gathered together, but you're not smiling at all. Look at your faces. Your faces really look like people who are not celebrating at all. And that is good because it is an important, let me tell you what is good about it. It is your feedback. Do you get it? Because there's a way to solve for monopoly in democracy. It is for the citizens to then rise up and say, this quality you've been giving us is not good enough. Because that monopoly democracy is the height of what we call state capture. State capture means that a few people have captured the democratic space and are now determining what is produced in that space and who has a portion of what is produced in that space. So governance is no longer for the people. It is governance for the monopolist of political power. You're contesting that by gathering together on Democracy Day as citizens and saying, this is not acceptable. So I just end on the note that when a monopoly situation happens, like we have in our democracy, and when a state capture, where all the principles of democracy cease to function, all the institutions, the nuances, the ethos, the values, the bedrock of democracy stop working, what will normally happen is that the consumers of democracy have to rise and say, no, we want to determine the quality of supply of democracy that we will get going forward. Do you get it now? So you suddenly say, this service, this product is not something I want to continue to take. I now must, as citizens, work together and say, we deserve better. A Nigerian saying we deserve better. That's what it essentially is. We deserve better governance. If you don't get good governance, it is impossible for you to stop being unhappy. Your unhappiness is tied to the quality of governance. And therefore, you gathering and saying, going forward, as citizens of our country, we want to determine a better quality of the governance that we are being given, is your journey toward salvation. So let me thank the mandate people. I think the convener, Century, and his many other colleagues have done such a brilliant work. I was very happy to see the data work, because as he rightly quoted me, in God I trust, but every other person must bring data. So the data that you people came with, there was a lady who got up and said the exchange rate and what it is doing. Another one got up and said the unavailability of roads. Another one got up and talked about the level of youth unemployment. All of those things have data behind them. It's not, I think, I feel, these are real. These are, you can measure them. And so, by using data as a basis to engage this power of the citizens to act and ask for a different level and quality of supply of democracy and governance, you have begun well. I am praying that as you go forward with this, more civic education and awareness, engaging with the institutions. I think this gentleman, the name, Peter for Nigeria. I mean, like I see you going around and campaigning about the reform of INEC. Many more Nigerians should join you, because without a credible INEC, it would be impossible for the current suppliers of democracy to take away their monopoly. They have no incentive to stop being monopolies. Monopolies have no incentive to stop. You have to stop them. All right? And part of what you're doing is what would make that happen. So utilize media and digital platforms, engage, mobilize as much as possible, and ensure greater participation of more citizens, and then just continuing to understand that all things can happen. It's happened in other societies. When the citizens had enough, they simply said enough is simply now enough. And here is not a conversation about party. It is a conversation about the mindset of the political class that has monopolized the politics and governance. You want a different mindset, it will be you as citizens that will break up monopoly democracy. I thank you very much.